Well, folks, it's here. We've waited over 20 weeks of the NFL season, and it's come down to this. Super Bowl 59 is upon us. It's the Friday before it, and your host of this tournament has a chance to do something that's never been done in this tournament's running since 2016, and that's repeat as a Super Bowl champion. So the Kansas City Chiefs are not the only team that's gunning to win multiple Super Bowl titles, as I am as well. Let's get it done, man. But yeah, this is my Super Bowl 59 prediction. And I am going to try and make this as quick as I possibly can because I want to talk about both teams. I want to talk about my personal keys to victory for this game. And of course, who I'm going to pick to win the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So let's get on to it. This is Super Bowl 59, my prediction. So I am going to start things off talking about the AFC champion, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the third time in a row they have won the Lamar Hunt Trophy, the fifth time since 2019 that they've won the Lamar Hunt Trophy, and they are just the dynasty, man. They are the new dynasty. They are the king of the hill. They are the cream of the crop, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's talking about the lucky breaks they've had all season, the refs being on their side, the close games that they've been in. The offense hasn't been dominant this year. But the thing about it is, stats are nice to have, but you know what's nicer to have? Wins. And that's just what the Kansas City Chiefs have done. They have just been finding ways to win. They have just been getting the job done, and they have done so in sort of like a different way this year. Not like not like in their traditional way where they're just racking up points and they're racking up yards and they're just lighting up the scoreboard. The Chiefs this season, and quite honestly, for most of 2023 as well, these past couple of seasons, the Chiefs have just been doing it with efficiency. They've they've looked a lot more intelligent on the field. They've been more resilient on the field, and they've been way more methodical than they have usually had as well. And I think that's what a lot of people are really underestimating with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's that they know the game of football real well. They know how to execute the fundamentals, and they just, like I said, they just find ways to win, and that's why they're here for the fifth time since 2019, and they're looking to do what's never been done in the Super Bowl era. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes needs no introduction. I mean, they're always going to be relevant under him. They are always going to be a contender under him. I mean, that's just all there is to it. But then you take a look at the weapons that he has and what he has to work with, with that. It's basically similar to what it's been over the past couple of seasons. You got Travis Kelce, who is a phenomenal playoff performer. You got Isaiah Pacheco, really good target for him. And of course, former Steeler Juju Smith-Schuster, he's back in the Super Bowl as well. And I think Xavier Worthy turned in a really solid rookie season. His speed always makes a big difference. Then, of course, you got guys like Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins as well. I mean, they're not the primary guys that Mahomes is throwing to, but they're still decent enough and they play a big enough role on this offense here. But man, Kansas City's O-line, I mean, this game right here is going to be 100% a match of a battle in the trenches. Kansas City's O-line is one of the most elite O-lines in the NFL. I mean, getting past that O-line, trying to get the Mahomes right there, and the way that they just open up gaps to create run blocking and, big gains by running backs. Man, that O-line they got's really good. And then, of course, the cream of the crop this year for Kansas City, not been so much of Mahomes, but it's more so been with Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Excuse me. Steve Spagnuolo, great defensive coach, great defensive coordinator. He has really put together a great defensive scheme this year. He runs the blitzes real well. He does a lot of great packages. And really, it's just the two guys on the defense. It's just Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie. Everyone else, you can kind of say it's been like the 72 Dolphins where they had like the no-name defense right there. But of course, I mean, this defense is not on the same par as that, but Kansas City's defense has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting this year, the way that they break the zones and the way that they're able to limit opponents, keep them off the boards, prevent a lot of big plays. I mean, this Chiefs defense is really solid. So, yeah, altogether, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're just always going to be in the mix and they're always going to be tough to beat when playoff football comes. But then you take a look at their opponent in the Philadelphia Eagles. They are back here for the second time in 3 years, and this is their third Super Bowl appearance since 2017. And to get context about how the Eagles made it this far, you really got to kind of go back towards the end of last year where the Eagles were free falling. They had that amazing start. They finished 11-6 though, and they went one and done in the playoffs. There was the Nick Sirianni drama where he was like openly taunting the fans and everyone was ready to, run him out of Philly. But this year proved to be a critical season for the Eagles, and it was about how they were going to respond after that 2023 debacle that they had at the end of the season. We all knew that Jalen Hurts was, the guy going forward, and we all knew that Philly was banking on him, but he needed a solid run game, and he needed something to take the pressure off of him. Enter Saquon Barkley. The Giants stupidly chose Daniel Jones over him, and all Saquon Barkley did was turn in a season for the ages, over 2,000 rushing yards. And as I'm recording this, he just won a offensive player of the year. He might be adding a Lombardi to that as well. So I mean, Giants, that ain't looking real good right there, letting him walk the way that you threw a bag at Daniel Jones like that. And then, of course, Saquon just behind that O-line, as I alluded to with Kansas City's O-line. Like I said, this is the battle of the O-lines right here. The Eagles, in my honest opinion, best O-line in the league. I mean, they do such a great job protecting Jalen Hurts. They do such a great job opening gaps for Saquon Barkley. They're physical up front. I mean, man, that O-line is just so good that what the Eagles have. And it's just that's just it right there with Saquon. I mean, his speed is just uncanny. His explosiveness is uncanny. His strength is just something else in this league. When he gets past a defense and he shreds a front seven, I mean, there's just no stopping him. All the big runs that he had in the playoffs alone are enough to show why that he was, completely earning of offensive player of the year. The big runs that he had in the regular season as well. I mean, there is just no stopping Saquon Barkley, and that's going to be the biggest test for Kansas City right there, is how they're going to be able to stop or at least limit a guy like Saquon Barkley. Then, of course, you take a look at guys like A.J. Brown. He's been nothing but money ever since the Titans got rid of him and Philly picked him up. Then you got guys like Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, this is a really good Philly offense that they got right there. I mean, they can beat you in so many different ways. They've just put up 55 points in the NFC Championship game. I think that's a record for the most points scored in a conference championship in NFL history. I mean, that alone tells you just how loaded this Eagle team is. And of course, we all know the signature play they got there when Saquon Barkley isn't gashing defenses and he isn't, getting big chunk yard runs, there's the tush push. You know, the Chiefs were able to stop the Bills with QB sneaking several times in the AFC Championship, but Jalen Hurts on the tush push, that's a different story right there. Defensively, the Eagles have done really well defensively as well. Vic Fangio, I think he did a magnificent job revamping that defense in Philly. The secondary went from being incredibly sus to just being completely locked down. They do not allow a single, they hardly allow any big plays up on that secondary right there. Basically, everyone on that secondary is locked down. Their front four, very physical as well, mainly with guys like Jalen Carter, who just wreaks havoc up on the front seven, and Brandon Graham. I mean, he's always been great for the Eagles as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is just a very loaded Philadelphia team here, and they are just dying to win that second Lombardi. And if there is an Eagle team to win that second Lombardi, it's this one right here. So, getting back to my prediction, I just wanted to talk about both teams in this matchup right here and why this is a really hard Super Bowl to pick. So, my keys to victory here for the Chiefs, we are going to have to see how their run defense does against the Eagles' run offense right there, as I just said. Because, like I said, Jalen Hurts on the tush push and Saquon Barkley right there. That's a deadly combo that Philly has right there. Like I just said, they were able to stop Josh Allen on 5 QB sneaks in the AFC Championship game. If that run defense can step up in this game, the Chiefs' chances of winning this game are going to go up. As for the Eagles, it's going to be their defense going up against Kansas City's weaponry on offense. They got to be able to put several bodies up on Travis Kelce. They got to keep him in check. They got to be able to stop Juju from creating separation. They got to be able to stay one-on-one with Xavier Worthy. I mean, like I said, his speed is definitely an X factor right there. Those are my two biggest keys to victory for both teams in this one. Key matchups in this game, of course, it's going to be the battle of the O-lines right here. This game is absolutely going to be won in the trenches. I think the more physical team is going to come out on top in this game. And, of course, it's going to be a matchup of who blinks first on defense. These two met in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. The Chiefs won 38-35. I'd be very surprised if this was a high-scoring game, in all honesty. But, that's just the thing with the Super Bowl nowadays. Whenever it's never what you think it's going to be. Like, if you think it's going to be a defensive game, you get a shootout. And when you think it's going to be a shootout, you get a defensive game. It's never what you think it's going to be. So, with all that being said, my prediction, I am going to say the Kansas City Chiefs do it. I'm going to say the Chiefs threepeat, and they are one step closer to possibly becoming the greatest dynasty in NFL history. I mean, like I said, they're already a dynasty, but they want to pass the steel curtain. They want to pass the 80s Niners. They've already passed the 90s Cowboys, in my opinion. And they are inching closer and closer to the Patriots dynasty. Mahomes is definitely in the talks of being the GOAT. Mahomes is in the talks of being better than Brady, or at the very least, just as good as Tom Brady. And that's just what it is right there for the Chiefs. They're the dynasty. They're the team to beat. They want to make a statement in the NFL that's saying, hey, we won 3 straight Lombardis. Get on our level. So, yeah, I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs win. And as for my tournament, my opponent also picked Kansas City, but he picked Kansas City to cover. I'm taking Kansas City to win, but I'm taking Philly to cover. So it's going to come down to the points as for my tournament matchup right here. So, yeah, I'm taking Kansas City to win, but I'm taking Philadelphia to cover. As I'm recording this, the Chiefs are a 1.5-point favorite. So that means I have the Chiefs winning by 1 point. If the Chiefs win by 2 or more, then that means they cover. But I am taking Kansas City to win, Philly to cover, a 1-point win for the Chiefs. But you know what? It don't matter if you win by 1. It don't matter if you win by 101. All that matters is you take home the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and I think that's what the Chiefs are going to do for the 3rd consecutive season. And that will do it. Thank you all so much for an incredible season, another great year in Pick'em, another exciting year, and let's hope that I come out on top once again. I'm gunning for that repeat, man. I want 2 straight Super Bowl wins, man. It's going to look real good. But yeah, thank you all once again for another great year in this Pick'em tournament. I'll see you guys next year in the tournament. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody, and I am gone.